Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I'm Paul Sisler, and this is In the Moment. Today on Comedy and Controversy, we are going to talk about a very controversial topic: woke. Being woke. Oh my goodness. And today, hello, Jeremy. How you
What's up,
doing?
man? Why am I so anxious about this topic, man? This shit's killing me. We did
Well,
2 weeks where we talked about racism with guests, and I was that was this one has got me nerve wracked for some reason.
ah, don't let it. Don't let
No,
it.
I know, it is what it is.
Oh, it is. It is. So let's start out because a lot of people don't even know what being woke actually means. They hear the term, and you got one side that thinks it's evil. Only evil people are woke. And then you got the other side that you go far enough, and it's just like, you're not woke enough. You have to be more woke. So this is kind of where we're at with it. We're going to have a discussion about what it is and if you're woke and what you should do in being
Yeah.
woke.
And why is it bothering me? I've been looking at this topic all week long. And for the life of me, I mean, the definition just means you're aware of social injustice.
Yep. And here's the definition: aware of and actively attentive to important societal facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. I want you to pay attention to the words here: aware,
Right,
aware
awareness.
of, and actively attentive. Okay.
But I think the two words that we need to focus on as well were racial and social
Societal. Yes.
injustices.
Yes.
Because while everybody's being told to hate one another, we have all these other, because everybody, when you say woke, they immediately say they think racism or sexism, but it goes so far beyond that because as a
Yes.
country right now, we're in some kind of economic oppression. You know what I mean? The societal oppression that's going on right now on a massive scale, nobody's addressing. I mean, we're trying to, but nobody's really listening to us little people. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're
Well,
screaming at the top of our lungs that this is going on, and people are so busy hitting one another over different little things that they're not even seeing the bigger picture. You know what I mean? There's a lot more going on than what people are being told to see.
right. Well, here's what we have going on. You have people that hold political power, okay? And they're speaking out against woke issues, okay? Whether it's trans rights, whether it's systemic racism, misogyny, bigotry. Um, they're afraid of critical race theory because it's going to indoctrinate our youth when they're doing their own indoctrination in a whole nother way.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is that these people that are in these political positions, not all of them, but most of them, they know that these issues are real things because you have like the Bureau of Prisons, you have the United States Sentencing Commission, you
Mm-hmm.
have the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They publish these papers every year talking about these forms of systemic discrimination.
Yeah.
So people in Congress are well aware that these things are going on. And yet, you got people like Abbott and DeSantis that are just like, we're not having it in our state, and they're taking away rights of autonomy, bodily autonomy from women, health care, things that are important, and they're considering these views to be woke. Woke is realizing there's an injustice,
Right. That's all it is. And then
and they're woke because they know it's an injustice. So those that are speaking against being woke, are they themselves woke?
they understand there's an issue because they're voluntarily speaking against the issue. You know what I mean? They're voicing their opinion, like this whole anti-woke bullshit in Florida that's going on. I cannot believe that that's happening in America right now. Like the stuff he's passing, we're trying to. I mean, to me, it's about hatred. Like that's not even about not being woke. That's just about choosing to hate people. And I mean, they keep talking about, that word that I hate that people, I guess the other word that people use is grooming right now. And I recently saw, if they want to talk about that, I recently saw a children's book that talks about how great the presidency of Donald Trump was. A children's book about that. That's, you know what I mean? But that's okay. Nobody's even said. I just happened to find that. I can't remember where I saw it. And that's not even being raised as an issue. But all these other issues I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know if I ever will. It's not in me to hate people like that. It really isn't. You know what I mean? You can call me woke if you want. I think it's okay. To be aware, I mean, awareness is not a bad thing. I don't understand why that would possibly be a bad thing.
Right. Well, I'm going to play one of the videos you sent me. Let me re-add this and go over here. The speech everyone is talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
Excuse me.
There we go.
To talk to those of you who are woke and who are open to rational argument. A small minority, I accept. Because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. But I believe in you. I believe there are those of you here who are woke, who are open to rational argument. So let me make one. We are told that your generation cares more than any other about one issue in particular, and that issue is climate change. We're told that many of you suffer from climate anxiety. You wish to save the planet. And for tonight, and tonight only, I will join you. I will join you in worshiping at the feet of Saint Greta of climate change.
How dare you?
Let us all accept right here, right now, that we are living through a climate emergency and our stocks of polar bears are running extremely low. I join you in this view. I truly do.
Okay, and of course, because of copyright infringement that YouTube may claim, that's all I'm going to play of it. I encourage you to go to that video. The speech everyone is talking about. The speech everyone is talking about. And watch it all the way through, okay? Because this guy isn't making fun of wokeness. He's pointing out some realities, that it's okay to be woke and it's okay to look at these things and, hey, we have problems. But one of the things he points out, like, if you're someone that is poor and you're going through things, you're not going to care about the climate because you're worried about putting food on the table.
Exactly.
So, what are you doing to help with these things? Because there's a multitude of issues that need to be looked at. Climate change is real. Okay. I don't know how far to, push on it in relation to, hey, do your investigation, do your research, and
right, just look at the science behind it.
Instead of looking for the things to prove your belief right, whether you believe climate change is real or you believe it's all fake. Okay?
Right, and get your information from multiple sources, okay? Independent sources, not
right. Well, and the thing that I was going to
websites and bullshit like that.
The thing that I was going to add to that, instead of trying to prove yourself right, try to prove yourself wrong.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Trust me. If you try to prove yourself wrong, you're going to find information that you didn't even know was out there because you've been so busy trying to prove yourself right. Prove yourself wrong. Because once you can prove yourself wrong, now you're going to take a different approach to it. And keep proving yourself wrong until you can't prove yourself wrong any longer. And then you're going to know for the most part that you're probably right now in your analysis.
Oh, I think is it a me or does America always have extreme views on everything? It doesn't seem like there's ever any balance or any harm. That's the word I use the word harmony in my book a lot. There's got to be some kind of harmony in between. Like there's, you know what I mean? I am aware, like I am absolutely aware of the things that are going on around within society because I live, I'm a single father and I'm broke, I'm poor, you know what I mean? I'm going through everyday life of, like you said, trying to put food on the table. You know what I mean? That is my main concern. But at the same time, with us being, both being writers, we're just by the things we've learned, we're more aware of the things that are going on around us. Okay. And then I always say the opposite of being like if you're woke is at one side and anti-woke is the other is, I mean, like we talked about this a little bit earlier, but like the whole ignorance thing, the definition of ignorance is just kind of the opposite side. I mean, I hate to be cruel, but
Well, without knowledge, okay? If you're without knowledge, then educate yourself.
right. There's different types of ignorance. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you just don't have the information to know things, then you know what I mean. That's one type, that's like the least harmful type of ignorance. You know what I mean? That person most likely wants to learn or can learn or wants to.
It can be harmful, because you choose to remain ignorant.
Yep, that's the other one. Yep.
Yeah, and if you choose to remain ignorant, then now it falls on you. Okay, because the information is out there. There's so many things that you can check on and research from a multitude of different angles. It's just like when I wrote my book. Okay, I went into it with a mindset of what I wanted to say, and I ended up changing my view on a few things because I found information that countered my belief system. Now, I could have remained ignorant and just put in there what I wanted to believe, but I didn't do that because I wanted my book to be as accurate as possible. I wanted to expose the red herrings, thus the red herring effect, And with that, I learned some things writing this book. And I was blown away at how bad systemic discrimination on a multitude of levels actually is. I was educated because I quite frankly didn't think it was near as bad, but it's
I went through the same. I went through like a period of self-discovery in my book because, like you said, I started my book out with the intention of writing one specific thing the whole way through. That was what I wanted to do. And about chapter 4, totally went the other direction. I totally veered off course. But I wanted my book to be literally the most honest thing I've ever done. Like everything that I say in it, you know what I mean, is from the heart, is something that I've been through, is something I've experienced. You know what I mean? But my book, I guess, is kind of about being aware of what's going on in the world, because the one thing I talk about a lot is poverty. Because I think the biggest societal injustice in America is poverty.
Oh, but Jeremy, you need to go out and work extra hard then. You need to work 2 jobs.
I bust my ass just to be broke, barely have enough to pay bills, barely have enough to put food on the table, and I try and raise awareness on the side for free. You know what I mean? And that takes almost all of our time. And it's disgusting that they're trying to take more away. They're trying to take more away from poor people. Why do they hate poor people so much? I'll say it, Republicans. Why do Republicans hate poor people so much?
It's not just the Republicans, it's both. It's both.
I know, but
they have their own way of doing it. Hold on.
I agree. Well, I'm not going to. I mean, go ahead.
They have their own way of doing it because the majority of them. You have 435 people in the House, 100 people in the Senate. So that's 535 people in Congress. And those 535 people, the majority of them, like 530 of them, are corporate politicians. They only pass legislation that is going to help corporations. They don't care about the people. Now, I know the right is more outspoken against the people, where the left is more behind the scenes acting against the people.
And I didn't want to name drop just one. I didn't want, you know what I mean? I don't like doing that, but just they seem to be the ones going against this whole.
But
well, not every one of them, not all of them, but there's specific ones, and they do this on purpose just to get sound bites and just to get on the news.
To keep the people distracted, the division. If we remain divided, picking at each other, if we remain divided, my side's better than yours.
It's never gonna. Yeah.
Then what are we going to do about the real issues? We don't know about them because they don't want us to know.
Well, we still, a lot of these people live under the illusion that for some reason rich people care about poor people. Yeah, it's the greatest lie ever told. But people still have faith in these, you know, like you said, it's all about, it always comes down to money, man. It always comes down to money and protecting a very small amount of people in this country.
Yeah,
the elite. The rest of us fight over table scraps, but we're too busy hating one another because that's what they're telling us to do. If we came together and actually worked as united people, oh my God, the amount of stuff we could accomplish, it would be incredible. We would set the example.
And this is where wokeness is important, but also can be the distraction. This is where wokeness can also be the red herring. Okay. Mm-hmm. I want you to think about this. Okay. It's good to be woke. It's good to realize that there are injustices. But unfortunately, you're saying, why can't we all come together? Because you have all these different levels of people who think that they're better than the one below them. Okay. Yeah. All right. If you're middle class, well, I'm better than the poor. Well, you're one paycheck away from being there. Mm. But yet you're not taking in the fact that you're busting your ass 40 to 80 hours a week so that you can be there. And if something goes wrong, bam. And a lot of people, until something has an effect on them, until they lose their job, until their health benefits are taken away, until the daycare center says, no, your trans kid can no longer go here, until your student in school is being violated by whatever the new board has put out for their rules and regulations, until it affects you, you turn that blind eye, and it's all propaganda. It's all propaganda. And it is until it affects you. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes a reality. And this is where you need to be aware of the injustices. Being woke is a good thing.
It is.
But the problem that I see with a lot of this wokeness is, let's change up the movies. We have to make them more woke, progressively fitting to our society. So let's take somebody and change them from one thing to another thing because we want to fit into the woke mode. How about we get the homeless people some housing?
No, right. Yeah, okay. let's worry about actual people.
I know. And I know I'm going to piss people off because it's like, but it's important to be represented in the movies. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
It is. I'm writing a book. Okay. The title of the book is called The Rainbow Prophecy. Book 1, Blood Schism. The main character is an intersex character. Okay. But now I'm not taking somebody else's story that they've written and changed character to fit what I think is appropriate. Because I tell you, if somebody would take my main character and change them to fit what they deem to be appropriate, I would be pissed because it's my fucking story.
Absolutely. That's why, when I wrote mine, that's why I wrote the first chapter about myself, is just I want people to know who I am, what I've been through, so they know where I'm coming from when I go forward in the book. Because You know what I mean? I want to talk about the things nobody wants to talk about or wants to talk about. You know what I mean? I wanted to be the one. We've talked about racism in past episodes. You know, now we're talking about this. And until there's got somehow, some way, there has to be a way to, I don't know, come to an understanding of like we always talk about when people weaponize things, and that's what they're doing on both ends of it. You're either not woke enough, or how dare you be woke, or whatever they want to do down in certain states. You know what I mean? The stuff that's going on right now is crazy, but it seems like if you take a look at the whole picture, society is going to progress regardless if you wanted to or not.
Right.
That you can try and get in the way of society, and you can try and hold society back. If you look at any part of human history, that's why we're at the point we are now, because we have continued to progress. Okay, once we start going backwards and regress, that's when a society falls apart. You know what I mean? So we're going to try and hold people back and ban books and tell people, you can't learn this, you can't read this. This strange man's coming into your school to look through your backpack. You know what I mean? That's where I'm like, come on. I mean, when I read that, I can't remember yelling at my phone so much in my life. In 2023 America, how can that be possible? And that infuriates me. That is going too far. You know what I mean? You can't put limitations on what people learn and expect the society to function. It doesn't work that way. You can't, with the birth of the internet, you lost that control. You can no longer control the books that people can get to. People have access to information. So you can fight it all you want, but they can go online and get the book. You can take it out of their backpack. They can put it on their tablet. They can do it. You know what I mean? It's not like they can't have access to it. So fighting progress is not only stupid, it's dangerous. And it's just creating more and more hate in this country.
It is. But again, though, that's the design.
It is. It's always been the design since the birth of this country. Since before the birth of this country, hate has always been the design. It's always, but they've always wanted us to be separate. They always figure out a reason for us to be separate. First, it was race. Then, now it's like gender and this, and then everything they can possibly think of. They're trying to make it's insanity. You know what I mean? And then me being at 45, this is my outlet, my weekly outlet where I get to talk about this stuff, because it's not okay to put restrictions on what children can or cannot learn as long as their parents are okay with it. What's the problem? You should, as a politician, you should have no say so on what a kid or can and cannot learn. What gives one person the right to do something like that?
Again, the elites, the people that are in power.
Right, exactly. It's the 1%.
The design of the system.
Yep, the 1% of us, or not of us. I'm at the bottom end. Trust me. That's why I get so frustrated about some of these topics, especially poverty. Because if you've never been poor, I don't recommend it. And it's a daily struggle. They say, rich people make hard decisions all the time. Yeah, but their decisions don't require, how am I going to put gas in my car so I can go to work? That's the decisions poor people make every day. You know what I mean? How am I going to put food on the table next week? How's this paycheck going to last me till next paycheck when it's usually gone in 6 days? Exactly. You know what I mean? That's what real people go through. And the 1% are controlling the rest of us. They really are. Yeah, because
they were born with that silver spoon, and they don't know what it is to truly work.
And that
okay. They think they do because they call what they do work. They think that what they do is work. Okay. Mm-hmm. They don't know what it is to get out there and put in 40 hours a week, hoping that you have enough to pay the electric, to buy food, to put gas in your car, to make it through to the next week.
And that's if nothing even pops up. Like my dog had surgery this week, $1,600. I had to take a personal loan just to pay for it. You know what I mean? That is reality for a lot of Americans. And
Yes.
that is the sad reality for a lot of Americans. And honestly, I think we're powerless, or at the moment, powerless to do anything about it. I think that's why you and me talk about it on here, is because
Right. See, my wife took ill. She passed away of cancer.
Mhm.
Okay. And for 3 years, I had an abscess tooth
Ooh, I don't know what that's like.
that I lived with. Okay. Occasionally, I'd have to take a needle and stick it up there and help push the pus out and shit like that. I lived with this abscess tooth for 3 years. Now, I had no insurance, nothing I could do
Mhm.
to get it taken care of that wouldn't cost me a bill that after I would have it done, I'd have to walk out and say, no, I can't pay you. And now again, bad credit, blah, 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 and all that stuff that happens to people that can't afford to get their even their teeth taken
Yeah.
care of. Okay.
Right, exactly. And that's what
Now,
happens.
so I let it go and I let it go. Now, I was fortunate. My house just sold. I had a bank account full of money. The abscess tooth, which then it's like, okay, I'm going to be able to get this taken care of. It almost took care of me first because it started to go septic.
That was some of the worst pain I've ever been through.
I had to go to the hospital and get antibiotics. My tooth almost killed me.
No, I would rather break my leg again than go through that, because I had to have all mine taken out. I had to have all mine. These are all paid for. But I went.
I didn't know that.
No,
I made a joke earlier. Sorry about that. I didn't know.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's the only reason. Yeah, that's the only reason these are not. I had perfect teeth too, and it pissed me off when I had to get them. But yeah, some of the worst. I 3-4 in the morning crying over this thing, just like throwing cold water in my mouth. And man, oh my goodness. Yeah, some of the worst shit I've ever done.
And see, and the elites, they don't know this because, oh, I have a toothache. I guess I best make an appointment. Oh, and they get me in right away. Oh, wow. How did that
they don't
happen?
know what that's like.
Yeah, me either. Try calling a dentist and all that. And then they say, well, we can fit you in next week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I kind of think respect politicians that come from nothing, or, kind of built themselves, from meager beginning, or not meager, but whatever, average beginnings or whatever, because they know what it's like to live an average everyday American life. You know what I mean? As somebody who's been rich their whole lives, going back however many generations, is never going to know or care what it's like to be poor. I mean, some people maybe, I'm not saying everybody, but most everyone does not give a flying shit.
Here's what's sad, though, Jeremy, is that a lot of these politicians that you're talking about that came from this poverty, they go in and they become a House rep or a senator, and now they're making $170,000+ a year, and now they think they're superior to where they came from.
Yeah. I guess there's...
Because if they truly remembered where they came from, they wouldn't be treating people the way they've been treating people.
Oh, I'm not saying, I'm not saying every politician like that, but no, because some of them are just, I mean, and then some of them have the nerve to complain about how much they're making. I'm like, what? What? I put on, as soon as I saw that, I posted right back. I'm like, do you realize 50% of Americans make less than $30,000 a year? You know what I mean? That's like, oh man, I was like kicking the gut. Like, how can you possibly? First, you're saying you hate your job, and then you're complaining about how much money you make. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Right. Here we are in February. 1 year ago, I figured out what the cost of living was for people in the United States 1 year ago, and it came out to be $36 and something like 10 cents an hour. Okay, that's like $72,000 a year. All right. That was the cost of living. Now, has it gone up in a year? Has it gone down? I don't know. I haven't sat back and figured it out, which I need to do, But when I wrote my book, it was $16.50 an hour. That was in 2016, 17 that I got the statistics from.
Well, how long has minimum wage been $7.25 an hour? What, 18 years?
Forever. Jesus Christ.
No,
Uh,
what, longer than that.
yeah.
And I mean, that's why. I mean,
How long has the minimum wage been? $7.25 an hour.
you want to talk about societal injustices? I mean, this is it right here.
2009.
2009. So what? 14 years.
Yep. 14 years. It's been $7.25 an hour.
And even in 2009, that's nothing.
Yeah.
And then there's so many jobs. I see people every day because I help. I do DoorDash on the side. I see people every day working at these fast food places making like what, $10 to $15 an hour, and that might be okay for the younger bucks, but you know what I mean. People that are trying to raise a family and shit like that. I mean, come on.
I remember when minimum wage was $2.85 an hour, and I was happy when it went up to $3.15 an hour.
Yeah, I remember when I can't remember. I went through the same thing. Minimum wage went up when I started working too. I was all excited about that. I'm like, yes.
So when we're talking about wages versus what it costs to live, I'm very woke.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
okay?
why? Yeah, you got to be woke about what's going on.
Injustice.
That's why being woke is good. Like, if you're ignorant to the stuff that's going on around you, like right now, especially what we're talking about, like the stuff we're talking about, like, come on. You have to be aware of what's going on right now, especially, I mean, I don't like talking about politics on here, but I mean, especially when it comes into politics, because some of the people in politics right now are absolutely out of their freaking minds.
Yeah.
And they're not accomplishing anything. I'm sorry. They're not doing anything. They haven't done anything but whine and moan since how long have they been in office now? What, a month?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I know. Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm going to play the next video. All right. Here we go. Let me get it playing. Comedians on PC, cancel culture. Remember, PC is politically correct. Bill Maher used to have a show, Politically Incorrect. So for people and all that, cancel culture, so on. Let's give this a go.
Because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. I'm often asked if there's anything you shouldn't joke about, and the answer is no. There's no subject out of bounds for comedy. There's nothing you shouldn't joke about, but it depends what the joke is. Comedy comes from a good or a bad place. And I think I do deal in taboo subjects very often. I often, expose the elephant in the room, but people often make the mistake of the target of a joke with the subject of a joke, and they're not the same. No bad comes from discussing taboo subjects and I think as a comedian, my job isn't just to make people laugh, it's to make them think a bit. I want to take the audiences to places they haven't been before. Otherwise, what am I doing there? If they can do it themselves or they've heard it before, there's enough safe anodyne comedy out there, and good luck to them. But that's not what I do. They know what I do, and I'm going to do it. Having said that, someone is going to be offended by everything you say. Someone somewhere in the world will find what you say offensive.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what you say. There's always going to be somebody that's offended by it.
I mean, I'm a perfect example. I've lost 2 social media accounts now because of I don't know if you can put it down there. Because of trying to talk about stuff like this, trying to raise awareness. People and that, I guess I'm trying to make people woke, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, you're trying to bring information to people so people have an understanding about different things that are going on in the world.
But people need to understand when I do that, if it's not what they already know, and maybe it's something new, that they don't have to be angry about it. It's just something new.
But again, it goes against their belief system on what they believe they know, And again, I'm not saying that they're right for what they do, okay? I'm just saying that we're all entitled to have a thought process, okay? We all do. We all have a thought process. And if you hear somebody talk about something, whether you agree with it or not, if you're not willing to open your mind up and take a look at it, then the person, the people that are doing this to you, Jeremy, you're not the problem. They are.
Mhm.
They aren't willing to sit back and say, well, this Jeremy Baker, maybe he might have a point here. Maybe I should take a look at what he's saying, and maybe I can educate myself on a topic. No, they're not willing to
represent
do
me with
that.
TikTok. Be like, hey, come on, man, help my boy out.
Well, they're not willing to do that because they want to be right.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I didn't think when I took on this venture that honestly, when I took on this venture, I didn't even know what woke was. I learned that throughout this process. You know what I mean? The term, you know, I mean, I've heard the term before, but I've never like not as far as like the definition is as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've heard the term, but I never really thought anything about it until I started learning about all this stuff for, you know, opening your mind up. Just as one day I decided to learn about political and societal topics that I found interesting. And I found a lot of messed up stuff that contradicted what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I was like, oh man, I was upset. But then if you're open-minded to the concept that it's okay to be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually making you a better person to admit that you're wrong than to persist in being wrong.
And that's where part of the problem comes in. Most people do not want to admit that they've been wrong, because when you have to admit that you're wrong, that means somebody got something over on you.
So that means they know the truth.
Well, I know, and this is something that I'll be discussing on my Stoic channel, Becoming Stoic, is that part of the problem is you have people that want to be right, and then you have people that want knowledge.
Mm-hmm. I think I used to be the person. Honestly, I think I used to be the person that wanted to be right. And now I became the person that I want to learn all the time now. I mean,
Yes.
at 45 years old, I barely made it through high school. I tried college. That was a joke. I wasn't even meant to go to college. And then I wasn't the person to sit down and read. I wasn't the person. I hated all that stuff. And now all of a sudden, I wrote this book. I had this I don't want to say spiritual journeys. Every time you say it, people look at you. But yeah, I had this journey. It was in myself. I learned that I was wrong about a lot of stuff.
Well, it was a spiritual journey.
It was. I mean, well, it was. Okay, it was. It was. It really was. I mean, but it made me open my mind. You know what I mean? Because I had a lot of hate in my heart, but not towards other people. Like I've never been able to hate other people for being different than me. Like I've never had that in me. But I had a lot of hate towards myself. And once I let that hate go, man, the stuff I started noticing, the stuff I started seeing, hearing, appreciating. Oh my God, my life changed completely. And it was all because of hate, the hate I had inside. And because that hate is all consuming. You know what I mean? So if you want to hate people for being woke or, you know what I mean? Whatever, that's your choice. But that hate is going to consume you. Right? You're going to just find something else to hate 10 years from now. You know what I mean? It's not like you're just going to hate this one topic and then all of a sudden you're not going to hate. Hateful people hate. It's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just hate one thing. They hate everything. They hate everybody. That's what
they hate themselves.
Exactly. They hate themselves. That's why they act the way they do. They bring other people down. And in the case we're seeing right now on a massive scale to further their own personal gain. And they don't give a shit what they're doing to our society. Like our society I'm going to say a state of disarray as far as the people go. Because we can't agree on shit.
No.
We can't agree on shit. But we don't really have a forum to openly talk about, you know, like we talk about this a lot. Like there's got to be a better way for us to be able to communicate with each other without getting banned for talking about shit like this. I've tried so hard to raise awareness. You know, I mean, you can call me what you want. Awareness for me is the whole point of life. Like the more I'm aware of, the better person I am.
Yeah.
The more knowledge I can, and I realized this unfortunately at age 45 or 43. I'm 45 now, so I've only really had this experience for the last 2 years. So maybe I can share my knowledge and hopefully get somebody to realize this a whole lot sooner, man. Because my life's gotten a lot better since I let go of all that.
Well, again, there's a lot of people that are out there, and the hatred that you're talking about, for them to even be able to let go of that hatred, they first have to love themselves.
Right.
Okay? And before you can even love yourself, the first thing that you have to do, and I just said this in Bryce's Stoic space that he had today. He was discussing the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, and this is one of the aspects of being stoic and everything, you know. Being able to take critiques from other people. How can you love yourself and be able to take critiques? First and foremost, you have to be honest with yourself. If you're going to lie to yourself, then you're not going to get anywhere. So you have to, one, be honest with yourself. Two, you have to then learn yourself and know yourself. And until you learn and know yourself, you can't love yourself. But once you know who you are, you truly learn yourself, and you educate who you are and what you want to be, and you now know your path in life, then you can love yourself. And when you can love yourself, you can now love others. And now you're going to be more apt to listen. So when people are coming at you with these criticisms and these critiques, you're going to know if they hold any value. Are they coming at you just to come at you? Or are they coming at you because they're coming with a good faith conversation?
Yeah, like most people online, when they come at you, like this shit doesn't even get under my skin. Some people get all worked up about it. I usually just laugh it off because I'm like, why? And my reply is usually like, I'm not going to get upset. I don't even know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, you can stop. You can say whatever you want. You're not going to, and I just put like a lot of laughy faces after that. You know what I mean? Like people, yes. You know what I mean? If they can, I don't expect people to agree with everything I say. God, don't. I want people to disagree with what I say. And then we can have a conversation about why we disagree about it. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean we have to hate each other immediately because we don't have the same point of view. We can actually, like you and me, if we had a totally different point of view, polar opposites, instead of just saying we hate each other because we were told to hate each other, why don't we find out why we hate each other? And it's probably stuff that we could easily overcome.
For me, I don't care if you agree with me or not. Okay? That's first and foremost. I don't care. You have the right to think whatever you want. Absolutely. So I don't care if you agree with me or not. Now, the things that we disagree on, do you want to talk about it? Then let's talk. Let's have a conversation. But now, if you want to just sit there and throw your bullshit at me and not listen to what I have to say, or vice versa, if I were to do the same to you, then we're never going to get anywhere.
I've had a lot of great conversations.
If we're going to get somewhere, we have to have the conversation.
Absolutely. It's kind of, communication is key. It absolutely is. Until we, educate each other.
Well, you have to be willing to sit back and listen to somebody else. Even if you might believe that they're full of shit because you're set in your belief system, listen to what someone else has to say, because maybe they say something that you're not familiar with. Maybe something you thought was one way is actually another way. Maybe you are the one that's been misguided and your thought system is incorrect. And this is where I was talking about earlier. Nobody likes to admit that they're wrong, because then that means that the wool's been pulled over their eyes, that somebody's pulled something on them, and they have shame for being, lied to or tricked into believing something. There's no shame in that. Only there's no shame in it, because trust me, things change. There's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there. There's a lot of misinformation, disinformation. There's a lot of bad people out there, but there's also a lot of good people. There's also a lot of good information.
They still always will show the worst over the best first. You know what I mean? They always show the worst shit more than, people trying to bring people together. It's always the controversial stuff but the messed up stuff. Like, it's always the extreme stuff that they like to show.
This is why woke is such a controversial issue. Okay. You have people
it's just a word, though. You know what I mean? It's just a word. Like, we need to stop making it this demonic thing. It's just a fucking word. It has a meaning. It has a definition in Wikipedia or Merriam-Webster
Dictionary,
whatever. Yeah, you can look it up anywhere you want. It's just a word.
Yes.
Four-letter word. It has a meaning. It's a good, and it has a positive meaning.
And quite frankly, if you're arguing the issues, and it doesn't matter which side you're on arguing, if you're arguing the issues, you're woke whether you want to realize it or not. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're saying that women don't have the right to choose bodily autonomy, you're saying you're pro-life, and the pro-choice people are wrong, and the pro-choice are saying, no, women have the rights. You're wrong. It's not murder. You're both woke because you recognize that there's an issue.
Right. It's the central issue you're talking about.
Okay. So you're both woke.
So you're both aware of the issue.
Exactly. And if you're
you
aware
have differing opinions on the issue.
Exactly. One thinks it's an injustice because you're killing something that is believed to be a human being when it's a fetus. And then you have those that are saying it's not a fetus. I mean, it's not a human being. It's just a fetus. And it's my body. It's my body, my choice. Okay. Now,
I just think it's wrong what they're doing. They're making it into such they're making it into a political topic. I mean, why is awareness a political issue? Why is more awareness a political? Why is more awareness a bad thing still? Again, you know what I mean?
Because it goes back to the system I was talking about of creating division. If they can create division and keep us bickering about just this one word, woke. Are you or are you not woke? Are you woke enough? Are you not woke enough? Are you too woke for society? Whatever they can do to either push the word one way or the other, it creates a division. It creates an unnecessary argument. Okay? And when you create that unnecessary argument, you start doing what, like my friend Shadow Fox would say, you start having a fight. And guess what? No one wins a fight because a fight is never ending.
Well, you have these giant media companies, and they control basically which way they want that word to go.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're the ones telling the algorithms to block this person or ban this person for saying this and whatnot. Or, you know what I mean? Or, you know, so and once again, we're being we're being told what to hate, what word to hate, who to hate. And it's all being done by the super rich.
Yes.
Like we're puppets. I mean, that's what social media is. They can push whatever opinion they want to sway, they can sway on social media.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, because it's in your face constantly. You know what I mean? Whatever opinion they constantly show you over and over again, that's what you're going to think. So
let's just take the word woke out of it and just start discussing what the issues are, and there you go. If you want to define me as being woke, then by the definition, yes, I am woke. I am very woke because I am very aware of the injustices and the oppression of people in this country. So yeah, I'm woke.
Well, you know me, I think the opposite of woke, the definition, the opposite of woke is ignorance. So I would rather be woke than ignorant. You know what I mean? I would rather be aware than just a complete shithead. I mean, what's the point of just denying things are happening that are actually happening? It's not like they're not happening. You just choose to be an asshole about it.
Right.
Stop it. Stop it for crying out loud. They're still there.
They're woke and they're not ignorant. They're just choosing to pretend to be ignorant. Okay. And they're doing so because, again, they're making X amount of money. They're investing in things. They keep the people divided so that we can argue about these things in our school system and blah, blah, blah. That way we don't have to pass an infrastructure bill, make better highways, make better jobs, have better incomes for people, make things easier for people. No, that's not what it's about because that's not the goal. As long as they can keep the system that's designed to keep people oppressed, that's what they're going to do. It all comes down
You know
to
what I think the problem is I think they're aware, and it's freaking them out that we're woke, that we are aware of what they're doing to us now. Because I think more and more people are starting to see through the bullshit with all the lawsuits going on, especially the Fox News one. That's a big one because Dominion's got a case on that. You know what I mean? Because they pushed bullshit for years, and now they're about to eat the shit they were shoveling. You know what I mean? Hopefully, I hope. Anyway,
right.
But if that is the case, I'm not trying to, that's my personal opinion on it. But that's, I mean, people are starting to see through the cracks in the system that it was carefully designed, but so many people got their hands in it and so many people got greedy that's just people are starting to see through. They're not even united amongst themselves anymore. They're in complete disarray. So there's no organization anymore. You know what I mean? They're like in all for themselves. So people, I think, are starting to see the cracks in the road here that they've been the bullshit road they've been trying to pave for us.
Yes,
that freaks them out.
That's what you are correct on. People on both sides of the aisle are starting to see through the bullshit, and they're getting tired of it, and they're wanting to make changes for the right reasons. Okay, as people become more aware. Woke. There's
that word again.
They're the people that realize that other people are starting to see through the bullshit. They're in this panic, like you're talking about, and they're trying to establish rules to put more pressure on the back of our necks to make sure that more of our rights are taken away. Because the more rights they can take away, the more they can control us.
They're just repeating history. What happens every time an entire person or an entire group of people gets oppressed as a whole? Eventually
it comes back to a war. Eventually,
every time it comes back to a head, and the oppressed end up, and the oppressed overcome almost every single time. You know what I mean? Yes. Look back at history. It hasn't even been that long since we've been a country, for crying out loud, and we're on the verge of just. Yes.
You can go back to the French Revolution. You can go back to the Roman Empire. You can go back to whatever point in history you want. Whenever you have a people that have been oppressed.
Yeah, the Romans were the biggest force in the world. They were taking over the whole known world until they ran into a group of Germanian barbarians, and they ended up getting their ass whooped for the first time. Yeah, and that was like the beginning of the end. That was the first time the Roman Empire was like, "Oh, all right, we're not going to mess with those guys anymore." They actually drew a border. I think it was either the Rhine River that the Roman Empire wouldn't even cross, and that's what happened because they used to go into these villages and take their sons and daughters.
Yeah.
And make them serve, or take their sons and make them serve as soldiers, and most of them end up dying and never see them again. That's what happens when you oppress people. They eventually will unite, which is what I've been trying to tell everybody for the last 2 freaking years. Eventually, we will unite and put a stop to this nonsense. But until we do, nothing is going to fucking change. And I mean, being aware is part of the game. And I think that's why they don't want us to be aware. They don't want us to come together. They just want us to keep hating each other so they can keep doing what they're doing, what they've been doing.
Have you ever seen the episode of Oprah Winfrey?
No.
When she had, okay. Jane Elliott was on Oprah Winfrey. Mm-hmm. And they did the whole blue eyes, brown eyes, where they separated the audience by their eye color.
Okay.
And they started out the show by saying that one group of people based upon their eye color was less than another group of people because of their eye color.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch the show, it's amazing at how people are like, I always knew there was something wrong with my sister, and it's because her eyes are blah, blah, blah. I always knew. And it's just like, wow.
Just that, right?
It's that easy.
People are influenced way easier than they think. What do you think social media and all that stuff is? They know what to put in your face. That's what the algorithms do. They know what to put in your face. They know what's going to piss you off. They know what's going to keep you agitated. They know what they're going to click on. You know what I mean? All that stuff's quantified and stored. They know all that stuff. You know what I mean? What do you think algorithms do? They figure that stuff out. They know exactly what to put in your face.
Yes. And the thing of it is that
what I want people to do is start choosing what you want to see, not seeing what they tell you to see. Start picking and choosing what you want to see, and stop listening to what they're spoon feeding you. Okay?
Yes.
If you see something online on social media, what I do, and there's this wonderful new system out there called Fact Checker, which actually has to exist now because people don't know what to believe. For some reason, I think that's hilarious that they actually have to like, oh man.
I know. The reason
like they
why
fact checked everything, like the State of the Union address. Fact check.
Yeah. The reason why I brought up the whole blue eye, brown eye thing is because when you look at being woke, you're aware of the injustices and you try doing something about it. Those of you that don't believe you're woke think that woke is being an evil thing. Just know that somewhere down the line, based upon your race, your sex, your gender, your religion,
social status,
you might fit what you believe to be the perfect category that's not going to get discriminated against. But somewhere down the line, when they've discriminated against everybody in some way, shape, or form, and you think that there's no other way, look in the mirror and check your eye color, because there may come a day that the next thing that they pick on is the color of your eyes.
Could be something that simple. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it could be something that simple. I mean, they're literally picking apart what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do.
But my skin color's right. I believe in the right God. I went to the right school.
Like, to me, our society has become about oppression, and the oppression has become such a big part of our society in the last few years. The stuff that's been allowed to seep into the highest levels is utterly disgusting, and people aren't aware of it. They're big, you know what I mean? They need to get woke to this kind of stuff because this affects everybody.
This is where I disagree with you. I believe they are woke to it.
Nah, I mean, some people, like, well, that's that gray area again. Like, some people, yes, I believe there's some people that just don't give a shit. Like, a lot of poor people could give two shits about politics.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, based on other things, like, you know what I mean? Because before all of this transformation I had inside myself, I didn't give two shits about politics. Right. I mean, honestly, until I saw Donald, you know who he should not be named. Until he made a complete disaster of everything, I didn't even care about politics. And finally, I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And I started paying attention. I started becoming aware. Yeah. And the moment I became aware, though, I knew I was going to learn more about it. I mean, I guess there's a separation between people that want to learn more about what they just became aware of, and then people that deny they're aware of something.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Denying that you're aware of something just makes you look like a shit. I mean, you look like an asshole. You look like an idiot.
The people
you're aware of it. Stop denying that you're aware.
The people that are aware and are denying that they are aware is because they like what's going on.
They do.
If they're aware of the racism and they're denying that, and they're saying it doesn't exist, and they're aware that it is, it's because they are a racist. If they deny misogyny, that it exists,
they're a misogynist,
and they're aware of it, and they deny that it exists, then they are a misogynist. Okay, so those that are denying the wokeness, they're one of two things. They're either ignorant to what's going on,
Or more woke than everybody.
or they're very woke and they are what they're claiming isn't.
They're what I like to call WAF.
Okay. Now there might be people. There might be people that are working every day, going to work, going to school, doing what they need to do to live in this world, and they may not be aware of what's going on. But that upper echelon knows exactly what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, they have the power though. They're putting their own personal feelings into what other people should. You know what I mean? That's what it's coming down to. They're aware of everything. They're just trying to pick and choose what people are allowed to be aware of.
Bingo.
Which is bullshit. You can't tell people to be aware of this and then just ignore that. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. You know what I mean? How would a society even function like that? I mean, right now, a lot of people are just choosing not to believe the truth. They're choosing to believe lies, and that is maddening. And but that's the day we live in right now.
Yeah.
People don't know what to believe.
Yeah. And if they're choosing to believe the lies, they're either ignorant or they know it's a lie and they are what the lie is.
They're just perpetuating the bullshit is all they're doing.
Exactly.
Willingly, not ignorantly. They're willingly perpetuating it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
some people I think maybe read this stuff and go, "Oh yeah, that sounds legit." But most people are probably like, that sounds like bullshit." But you know what? It'll be fun to spread this dumbass stuff anyway. Yeah. Yes. But I know there's some people out there that read some of this stuff and go, "What? Oh, no way!" I guarantee it, man.
It's really funny is I get a lot of information off of TikTok. I hear me out, okay?
I used to.
I will see something on TikTok and I'll be like, no way. And now I got to find where it came from and see what the source is, see if it's factual or not, and then see if that law was passed or this situation happened or blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh my God, there is some truth on here. Oh my goodness.
But it doesn't take, with the information that we have accessible in our hands, there's no reason not to just fact check yourself. When you read something you find interesting, even if it sounds outrageous, I mean, you can find some truth to it pretty quick. It's not that hard anymore.
Well, you also have to be willing to want to know what the truth is, and that's a big part of it.
I guess that's the hard part too.
Huh?
That's the hard part, is getting people to want to know.
Right, because there's a lot of people that are very happy living in their bubble. Mm-hmm. They don't want to pop it. They don't want to come outside of it. They want to live in it.
It's messy out here, though.
Yeah.
It is messy out here.
It is. And quite frankly, some people, I can't blame them for not wanting to be a part of it because it's frustrating. And once you've made that decision to be aware and be a part of it, you like Jeremy and myself, we both, when we took note and became aware and wanted to do our part, we both wrote a book. Okay. Mine, The Red Herring Effect, his, Our Patriotic Nightmare. Find them both on Amazon. And again, now here we are. We are talking politics. We are talking about the things that are going on.
We have to, though.
Yeah.
We have to.
Exactly, because these are things that need to be talked about.
They're bringing societal issues into political arenas, and it shouldn't be up to them.
Yep.
Shouldn't that be up to the people to decide what our society wants and doesn't want?
It should be.
Not one or two people. I mean, really?
Right.
There's got to be a point where people have more power than this. I mean, seriously. Right now, we have to literally tolerate it. That's what we're doing. We're just tolerating shit.
You got to get the corporate money out of there. Corporate money out of there. Again, that's a whole nother show.
That is a whole nother show. Yeah, that's coming up.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Jeremy.
It was good.
Tomorrow, I have two shows. I have Joe Walsh, Congressman Joe Walsh. That he's starting my day out. I have him tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. There's a chance that we might be doing that show an hour earlier. I got to confirm that with Joe's wife. And as soon as I get that confirmation, I'll put a tweet out. And then after that, at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, I have Elizabeth Masters, Becoming Stoic. We got a whole show on there. We're going to start with the first meditations on the first philosophy. Rene Descartes. We're going to go over the first meditation. So Becoming Stoic, check it out.
Yep. I was going to say, all right. So yeah, can't check me out on Twitter. Can't check me out on TikTok. For reasons I don't want to get into right now.
All right, you're still on Instagram and Tribal though, right?
I haven't checked my phone since we started this podcast, but I could be off to who knows? Who knows what the future holds for me in social media.
All right. Well, keep fighting back. Elon, give my friend Jeremy his account back, damn it.
Seriously, since when sarcasm against the rules? Come on.
I know. You got more hateful people on there saying more hateful things than anything that Jeremy ever said. And his was in sarcasm, where these other people say things and they mean it. So give Jeremy back his account, Elon. Come on, Elon. All right, Elon. I'm invested in Tesla, Elon. Come on.
I don't think anybody works in that department anymore, bro. I don't think there's an appeals department anymore. I'm pretty sure because I've sent like 18 different notices.
Keep sending it. Keep sending it. I have faith. I believe.
I know.
All right. Remember, everyone, be happy, be kind, and make good things come your way. Thank you.
Yep. See you next week.